This is the first time in the last 3 years such a wide-angled gathering has come together to engage in the kind of introspection that prospects a promising future against a backdrop of grim lessons that lie in our immediate past. In a way, this is a defining moment for the future of our country and our people, a moment that must be honored for opening a timely dialogue. It is also a time to sincerely say thank you to friends of Kenya, particularly the distinguished members of the panel of eminent African personalities led by Mr. Kofi Annan. May I also take this opportunity to commend the Kofi Annan Foundation for facilitating this important event. My charge at this gathering, ladies and gentlemen, is actually clear-cut. And so, with your indulgence, I will address the issues I was requested to reflect on without further ado. My focus today is primarily on how to promote national cohesion and reconciliation in our country. I'm sure you'll agree with me that Kenya has scored impressive results in critical fronts, testified in form of tangible progress within the last 2 years. The truth, however, is that we are a country of great potential and promise, a unique nation endowed with what most other nations in the continent perhaps can be forgiven for dreaming about. Therefore, as a country, we cannot afford to sit on our laurels simply because there's a modicum of peace and order showing up on our shores. Indeed, this is the perfect time to choose real progress over mediocrity and hollow platitudes. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to open my address with a brief preamble. I'm convinced that promoting national cohesion and reconciliation is our country's most important duty if lasting peace and prosperity are to be found and established. Fortunately, our new constitution is anchored on principles that uphold greater prospects for better governance and greater respect for human rights. For the first time in our history, as a nation, we can hope to make choices that will transform the destiny of our nation remarkably. In this regard, there can never be a better vehicle to transport Kenyans to the promised land outside of the new constitution. The transformation intimated by the raft of provisions in the new constitution, if genuinely adhered to by Kenyans and especially leaders, will no doubt create an ideal environment for the harmonious coexistence of citizens of all races, social standing, political and religious convictions notwithstanding. However, ladies and gentlemen, several tie-ups that belong to our past must be addressed way before we can start dreaming of our promised land. With your indulgence, I will cite 5 areas that I believe call for special reflection and effort as we march to greater Kenya, to a greater Kenya. The 5 areas I'll address or relate to the reason for or aftermath of the ignominy that befell Kenya towards the end of 2007 and in early 2008. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, is the matter of internally displaced persons. In fact, this terminology was unheard of in Kenya before the last general election. And now everybody's on everybody's mind, IDPs. It is sad that 3 years after the 2007 post-election violence, internally displaced persons continue to live in squalid environments, nearly forgotten and cut off from the rest of Kenyans. Yet the fate of IDPs remains the most shameful reminder of the selfish power play that uprooted them from their lawful dwellings. The good news, however, is that money to purchase the land for IDPs was set apart by the government some time back, and the work of looking for suitable resettlement for them commissioned. What remains is for the officers charged with the resettlement of IDPs as ordered recently by His Excellency President Kibaki, and he actually gave the ultimatum. He actually said by Christmas this year, to cut out necessary bureaucracy and secure new homes for them without any further delay. An attempt at ignoring immediate resettlement of IDPs, ladies and gentlemen, can only burden the collective conscience of our nation further and stifle our progress in other critical areas of nation building. Over and above resettling them, I recommend that IDPs be provided with counseling services and the means to revert to meaningful economic engagements that will restore their dignity. They must also be provided with reliable security in their new dwellings. Ultimately, dialogue between mutually suspicious and intolerant communities in IDP situations and in high-tension areas must be initiated with a view to forestalling any tension or attacks in the future. And here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm thinking of refugees wherever they are in our country. There are some in famous places like Mawingu. There are others, yes, in the Mau Forest, because these are Kenyans. And I know that we all have decided to reclaim the Mau. But let us also remember the innocent Kenyans who continue to suffer. And these are IDPs. It behoves us to be able to do something about them.